Welcome, dear audience. Have you ever noticed that the loudest person in a room is often the weakest? They always feel the need to speak, to prove something. But in contrast, the truly strong person is the one who knows how to remain silent, to observe, and to patiently wait for the right moment. True strength does not need noise. It exists in calmness and the ability to control one's inner world. The ancients used to say, "Great wisdom appears foolish. Great compassion appears weak." A person of great intelligence often seems naive. A person of great kindness often seems fragile, because they understand that there is no need to prove anything. Time and actions will speak for them. Life has its own way of arranging things. When you stop forcing, stop trying to please everyone, stop explaining yourself to those who never truly listen, that is when you truly begin to live. You don't need to fight to keep anyone in your life. The ones who are meant to stay will stay. The ones who don't belong to you will quietly leave, no matter how much you try to convince them. Silence is not emptiness. Silence is depth of awareness. When you stop talking, you begin to hear more, not just the words of others, but also the things they're trying to hide. You will see the motivations behind actions, the falsehood behind smiles, and the sincerity hidden in the eyes. Most people cannot endure silence. They fear it. They speak because they are afraid of being forgotten. But the more someone needs to talk to assert themselves, the more likely they are to lose themselves. On the other hand, those who remain composed in silence possess deep inner strength. True power is not in how often you react, but in your ability to stay calm amidst chaos. It is patience to wait for the right moment. It is wisdom to observe. It is confidence to remain quiet, yet still command attention. Think about the people you truly admire, great leaders, masters of wisdom, individuals who command respect without needing to speak much. They don't boast. They don't sugarcoat words to gain favor. Yet when they do speak, people listen, not because they talk a lot, but because every word carries weight. The ancients said, "Words are simple but hold complete meaning. Actions are calm but accomplish great things." It is restraint in speech and action that creates true distinction. The value of their words does not come from volume, but from lived experience, deep understanding, and wisdom earned through observation and listening. When you speak less, you begin to listen, not only to others, but also to the voice within yourself. You distinguish between fleeting thoughts and true intentions. You no longer get swayed by appearances, but develop the ability to see through actions, to understand the essence of a person. The wise do not rush to ask, "Who is good to me?" Instead, they quietly observe how people treat them when they have nothing to offer. Silence creates space, and in that space, the truth gradually reveals itself. No one can hide their true nature forever when faced with someone who remains silent and observant. You will see who is loyal and who is two-faced, who truly cares, and who is merely playing a role to serve their own interests. Because when you always talk, you miss things. You won't notice small details that reveal the truth. You won't feel the subtle changes in tone, gaze, or attitude. You won't recognize an opportunity approaching, and you won't react in time when danger is near. But when you stay silent, your awareness sharpens. You stop reacting out of emotion and start responding with understanding. And that is an invisible advantage that the wise always possess. Sukung once asked Confucius, "Is there a single word that can serve as a lifelong principle?" Confucius replied, "Perhaps it is the word compassion. What you do not wish for yourself, do not do to others." The noisy seek attention. The wise let attention find them, through silence, composure, and deep understanding. That is the most natural way for everything to arrive at the right time, in the right place, with the right people. Silence brings clarity, and that clarity is the fine line that separates the strong from the weak. When your heart is calm, your vision is clear. When your words quiet down, the truth surfaces. Imagine a game of chess. The best player does not rush to make a move. They don't need to declare their strategy or distract their opponent with words. They sit in silence, observing every move, analyzing every expression, and only act when the timing is truly right. It is silence that keeps them always one step ahead, not with words, but with intelligence and sharp perception. Confucius once taught, "Those who know do not speak. Those who speak do not know." This is a reminder that silence is not ignorance. It is the peak of wisdom. In life, it is the ones who talk too much who often reveal their weaknesses. They expose their intentions before they can act. They try to prove their worth before they have even demonstrated it. And in the end, their own words become the weapon that turns against them. Meanwhile, the silent observer commands true respect. They don't need to declare their strength. It is evident in their unshakable presence. They don't need to make promises. Their actions speak for them. It is their quiet resilience that makes them stand out in a noisy crowd. When you stop talking, you begin to notice things you once overlooked, the subtle shifts in tone, the fleeting glance, the energy surrounding a person. You see through the kindness that hides deception. You recognize contradictions in the words of those who lack honesty. You don't need to ask, just listen long enough, and the truth will reveal itself. The wise understand that words can be a distraction. Some things are meant to be felt, not explained. Some people, the more you try to explain to them, the more you hurt yourself. Silence in such moments is not defeat. It is a retreat to win in the long run. If used correctly, silence is one of the most powerful weapons. It preserves your energy, shields you from unnecessary conflicts, and spares you from apologizing to those who don't deserve it. Because sometimes, simply staying silent is already a victory. Silence is an invisible power, but one filled with strength. It protects you from impulsive reactions that could ruin relationships, damage your reputation, or cost you valuable opportunities. It prevents you from saying words in anger that you will later regret. It keeps you from engaging in pointless arguments where no one truly listens. Silence creates the space you need to reflect, to observe clearly, and to act with precision, with a mind that is clear and composed. When you embrace silence as a way of life, you start to see who truly stays by your side and who only seeks you when they need attention. You stop participating in meaningless conversations. You are no longer drawn into the need to react to every attack or doubt, because you understand that true strength does not need to argue. It simply exists, undeniable and unwavering. Confucius once said, "A noble man is calm and at ease. A petty man is always anxious and restless." And silence is the foundation of that serenity. Some of the greatest victories in life are not won through words, but through the ability to remain silent at the right moment. When you let your actions, results, and discipline speak for you, you prove more than any justification ever could. When you control your emotions and refuse to be provoked, you are not weak. You have reclaimed power over yourself. Because if someone can make you angry, make you sad, or force you to explain, they are controlling you. But if you stay silent, if you refuse to let them dictate your reactions, then you have broken free from the most cunning trap of all, emotional manipulation. In today's world, noise is mistaken for influence. But the more noise, the less space for inner power to grow. The quieter you become, the more you see what truly deserves your energy. And through that, you come to understand a profound truth. The desperate chase always drives away what you seek. But when you sit still and cultivate your own strength, everything meant for you will naturally come. Silence is the key to everything that is meant for you. We have shared some valuable lessons in this video. If you find them useful and meaningful, I would love to hear what you've learned. Please leave a comment below and share your thoughts. If you're still watching and finding these lessons helpful, let me know by commenting. I like this video in the comment section, so I know you're still here with me. As we go through this video together, remember that the principle of silence applies just as much to the journey of success. The truly successful people in life are not those who constantly beg for opportunities or try to force things to happen on their terms. They are not impatient. They don't rush. They don't try to grasp things that aren't ready to come. Instead, they quietly prepare, build, learn, and upgrade themselves. They patiently wait for the right moment rather than competing for it. And because they remain silent in their journey, opportunities naturally find them, like a magnet drawn to a solid and unwavering force. Zhuangzi once said, "The greatest affairs in the world are accomplished through tranquility." Indeed, all valuable things require time and patience to grow, not haste or desperation. Look at those who constantly seek approval, always talking, always doing, always trying to prove they are good enough. They grow exhausted, they burn out, and unintentionally, they lose themselves in an endless race. Others fail to see their value because deep down, they themselves are still unsure of it. On the other hand, those who are truly confident don't need noise. They don't seek validation. They don't need to stand out or force anyone to like them. They simply exist as they are. And that completeness itself becomes a natural attraction. Because chasing stems from fear. Fear of loss. Fear of not being recognized. Fear of not being enough. But when you release that fear, when you realize your value does not depend on others, you step into a different version of yourself. Calm, powerful, and strangely magnetic. You no longer settle for small things just because you fear having nothing. You no longer beg for love because you understand. True love never requires you to lose yourself to keep it. You don't hold on to those who aren't meant to stay. You act from a place of abundance, not lack. At that point, you stop chasing and start attracting. And everything meant for you will come effortlessly, like a gentle breeze finding its way to an open field. Life always follows a paradoxical law. The more you try to control, the more things slip away. But when you know when to pause, when to let go, when to focus on yourself, time, opportunities, and the right people will naturally find you. Not because you did something extraordinary, but because you became the person worthy of it. This isn't a psychological trick. It is wisdom, the understanding that what is truly meant for you will never ask you to become someone else, nor will it ever require you to lose yourself just to keep it. And have you ever noticed? The moment you stop worrying too much, everything starts to fall back into place. The job you once let go suddenly calls back. The person who left suddenly reaches out. The opportunity you thought was lost finds its way back to you. This is not luck. It's a sign of alignment, a moment when you and the universe begin to move in sync. So remember, true power is not in how much you chase, but in realizing you never needed to chase at all. There is a special kind of strength in silence, the strength of keeping your dreams, plans, and path to yourself. Not everyone deserves to know where you're going, what you're doing, or what you're preparing for. Some people pretend to care, but they're only waiting for you to slip, to plant seeds of doubt in you, to fuel your fears. The ancient wisdom says, speed is crucial in battle, but secrecy is even more valuable. Big moves require swift action, but more importantly, they require discretion. Silence is your best armor on the journey of growth and success. Some people want to know your plans not to support you, but to interfere. They don't want you to rise beyond them. They compare, they calculate, and they try to pull you back down. Others are simply curious, not to help, but to watch, analyze, or even copy your ideas. When you share too much, you invite unnecessary energy into your life. Energy that confuses you, makes you hesitate, and sometimes makes you give up before you even start. Have you ever seen a dream shatter just because you shared it with the wrong person? An idea that once excited you suddenly felt small after someone mocked it, questioned it, or scoffed at the possibility of it happening. Not everyone wants you to succeed, and not everyone can handle the light you shine. Your growth is a mirror reflecting the stagnation of others. They see you moving forward, and it forces them to confront all the things they have postponed, the opportunities they once let slip away. So they smile at you, but deep down, they hope you fail. That's not the reaction of an evil person. That's the reaction of a weak one. That's why silence should be your companion. Some people should only see the final result, not the entire journey. Let them wonder with their eyes, but don't give them the chance to interfere with their words. When you keep your plans to yourself, you protect the precious energy within you from negative influences. The ancients once emphasized, cultivating virtue is like keeping an empty vessel. Cultivating the mind is like preserving ink in its original form. To nurture ethics, one must maintain a quiet emptiness. To nurture the mind, one must keep its essence pure. Dreams, too, must be protected in this way. Successful people don't need to announce every step. They don't need validation. They don't need others to believe in them, because they believe in themselves first. They work in silence. They persist without applause. They perfect themselves in the dark. And when the results appear, they shine so brightly that no one can ignore them. A lion doesn't need to roar constantly to prove it is the king of beasts. It moves with confidence, strength, and composure, commanding attention even in silence. You don't need to explain every move. You don't need to justify your dreams to those who lack vision. Let your work speak for itself. Let your results be the answer. Too many people waste their energy trying to convince others they are serious about their goals, when in reality, the only thing that matters is action. Because the truth is, no one is obligated to understand you. No one has to agree with you. No one needs to see your vision except for you. And when you truly believe in yourself, you won't need anyone's permission. Great things are always conceived in silence. Before success, they were once fragile ideas, nurtured in patience and solitude. Before making a sound, they endured days when no one noticed. That's exactly where you should be. In a place free of noise, free from scrutinizing eyes. Just you and your goal. Protecting your dream is like protecting a seed. Don't let someone step on it just because you left it too close to their feet. Keep it to yourself until it's strong enough to grow on its own. Growth doesn't need an audience. What is truly meant for you, no one can take away. As long as you build in silence, persist with strength, and remain wise enough to stay quiet until the right time comes. There is a reason why the greatest turning points in human history happened in silence. Revolutions of thought, unstoppable breakthroughs. They all began quietly, before anyone saw them, before anyone believed, before anyone paid attention. That silence became their greatest advantage. You move forward without being distracted by the noise around you. Let others think you are standing still. Let them wonder where you are, what you're doing. Let them assume you have no direction. Meanwhile, you are learning. You are training. You are laying down each brick for a foundation that will be unshakable in the future. And when everything is ready, you won't need to shout to prove anything. The results will speak for themselves. The ancients said, 1,000-mile journey is completed step by step. Each small effort, accumulated daily, will eventually take you to great distances. Patience and perseverance in silence are the sharpest weapons of all. In a world obsessed with speed, where everyone wants success in 3 months, money overnight, and fame after a single video, patience has become a lost virtue. But the truth is, what comes fast also fades fast. Success cannot be stable if its foundation is weak. And if you are in a hurry, you will likely trade something precious for a fleeting moment of recognition. The word patience contains a blade. It means enduring and controlling oneself, even when the heart burns like fire. But that is the very quality that shapes strong, resilient people. Success does not belong to those who move fast. It belongs to those who move in the right direction, at a pace steady enough to avoid stumbling. When you lack patience, you make poor choices. You take a job just for the money, not for the value. You start a relationship out of loneliness, not compatibility. You quit too soon simply because you don't see immediate results, without realizing that the sweetest fruit always comes at the final stretch of the journey. But if you remain steadfast, if you accept that everything worthwhile requires time to mature, you will make wiser choices. You will no longer be tempted by short-lived things. You won't rush to build castles on sand. Instead, you will seek stone. Dig deep foundations, and only build when the base is firm. Look at all the great structures, from the Egyptian pyramids to the Great Wall of China. None of them were built in a few weeks. They were created with sweat, time, perseverance, and an unshakable belief. And in the end, the results lasted for centuries. Patience is not about sitting still. It is about working tirelessly without forcing results. It is about giving your best without expecting instant recognition. It is about knowing that what is truly valuable will come at the right time, if you have the courage to wait. So, don't worry if today you have nothing to show the world. Don't rush just because others seem ahead of you. Your journey is unique, and it requires its own time to bloom. Stay silent. Work in stillness. Be patient as if you already know. The good things are coming. They just haven't arrived yet. A solid relationship cannot be built in a few days. A sustainable business cannot be formed in a week. And a resilient mindset cannot be forged overnight. Everything truly valuable takes time, patience, and unwavering belief. Even when there are no clear signs that you are on the right path. Patience is a discipline. It is not passive waiting, but the ability to keep going, keep giving, keep believing, even when you see no results, even when no one recognizes you, even when the whole world thinks you're standing still. The ancients taught, haste makes waste. Everything that must stand strong must have a firm foundation. Roots must go deep before a tree can rise. A house must be solid before it can endure storms. True success is not built in flashes of glory or giant leaps. It is the result of thousands of small efforts, accumulated day after day. It comes from choosing not to give up, even when you see nothing. It comes from planting seeds, even when the ground is dry, and watering them, even when there is no sign of growth. The saddest part? Most people give up just before everything starts to change. They don't realize that the most crucial growth happens in silence. A tree does not grow from the top. It grows from its roots. Roots take time to dig deep into the earth, so that when the sprout finally appears, it will not be uprooted by the first gust of wind. And if you keep digging up the seed, just because it hasn't sprouted fast enough, you are destroying its very chance to grow. Patience is not about waiting for a miracle. It is about continuing your work, consistently, quietly, tirelessly, with faith, that what you are cultivating today will bear fruit in a time you cannot yet predict. You will see that the reward for those who wait is always more lasting and sustainable. What comes easily often fades quickly, but what you patiently build remains unshaken by storms. Patience is also a test of self-control. It's easy to compare yourself to others. It's easy to feel like you're being left behind. But when you truly believe in the path you've chosen, you don't need to rush. You don't need to chase. You don't need to prove anything. Confucius once said, "Do not focus on speed. Focus on wisdom. Do not rush. Focus on completion." You don't need to move fast. Just move in the right direction. You don't need to hurry. Just be certain that you'll arrive. Everything you desire, love, career, inner peace, is already on its way to you. Not in haste, but in its own time. Not when you demand it, but when you are truly ready. Do your part. Be patient. Be persistent. Stay silent and keep going. Time will take care of the rest. The cost of impatience. Some of the biggest mistakes in life don't come from ignorance, but from a lack of patience to wait for clarity. Leaving too soon. Accepting too quickly. Reacting impulsively before fully understanding. All are results of impatience. But when you learn patience, you begin to make deeper decisions. You don't react immediately when provoked. You don't rush to shortcuts when the path is unclear. You take time to observe, to see the truth before you act. Trusting the process is the highest form of wisdom. It means you understand. Delay does not mean denial. Just because something hasn't happened yet doesn't mean it never will. Some doors only open when your mind is still. Your steps are steady, and you are truly ready to walk through. The ancients said, "One who does not understand fate cannot be called a noble person." A wise person knows. Some things must be done immediately. Some things require waiting. And some things, the more you rush, the worse the outcome. Some failures are just strategic delays. Some challenges are not meant to break you, but to prepare you for something greater ahead. If you give up too soon, you will never see the reward that patience has hidden for you. Strength is not in forcing, but in flowing. The strong are not those who force everything to happen. They are those who trust the natural flow of life, who do their part, and persist until the right moment arrives. When the time is right, everything will fall into place. Like a puzzle piece turning over at the perfect moment. The power of silence. Silence is not weakness. On the contrary, it is the choice of those who have seen too much, understood too much, and no longer need to prove anything. When you stop explaining yourself, when you stop trying to make others understand you, you will start to see clearly who truly stays for you, and who only stays for what they can take from you. Silence exposes many truths. When you stop initiating conversations, who reaches out first? When you stop making all the plans, who still makes the effort? When you stop sending messages, who still remembers you? Silence answers these questions more clearly than words ever could. Most people talk too much because they want to be understood, accepted, and validated. But when you stop seeking validation, you begin to see who truly listens, who only pretends to support you, who is waiting for you to fail, who never truly valued you in the first place. Some people just need you to speak, so they can use your words against you. Some want you to explain your boundaries, so they can find ways to cross them. Some want you to prove your growth, so they can make you doubt yourself. But when you stay silent, you take away their power. You leave them confused, because they can no longer manipulate you with emotions or words. They don't know what you think, what you feel, or what you are preparing for. That's when they are forced to reveal their true selves. Silence unmasks people. Silence makes people show who they really are. Who will quietly leave? Who will get angry because they can no longer use you? Who will stay and respect your space without demanding explanations? Silence is not just a choice, it is a tool. It reveals the level of control people think they have over you. Some will only respect you if they feel they are leading the situation, if they get the reaction they expect from you. But the moment you withdraw, the moment you refuse to play their game, they lose control. And that's when they get angry. They will accuse you of being distant, cold, or changed. But the truth is, you haven't changed. You've just stopped compromising. You've stopped explaining. You've stopped defending yourself. You've stopped giving them the emotional reactions they once used to manipulate you. Confucius once said, "A great mind does not argue. A person of great virtue knows how to harmonize, silent and without words, yet the world respects them." You don't need to explain every decision you make. Every time you justify yourself, you give others a chance to change your mind. When you say you need space, some will try to make you feel guilty. When you set boundaries, Some will try to negotiate, not because they respect them, but because they want to break them. But when you act without announcement, when you choose silence over argument, you remove their ability to manipulate you. Then they have only two choices: respect you or leave. And both will reveal the truth, without you needing to ask. Silence is a mirror. Silence reflects people exactly as they are, without the filter of words. When there are no words to hide behind, people must face the truth about themselves. Some will realize they underestimated you. Some will realize they never truly valued you. And some will no longer be able to hide the fact that they never truly cared. They only like the feeling of controlling your emotions and energy. Silence is power. In a world full of noise, where people use words to control each other, silence is the one thing that unsettles them the most, because they can't adjust it. They can't manipulate it. They can't steer you in the direction they want. They are used to certainty, to you always responding, always explaining, always reaching out. But when you stop, when you stay silent, you reclaim your power. And one by one, people will reveal their true selves. When you stop texting, who still stays in touch? When you stop making plans, who still wants to meet? When you stop explaining, who still tries to understand? These are questions only silence can answer. And the truth may hurt, but it will set you free from unbalanced relationships and false connections. Silence is your ally, not to distance yourself, but to observe, not to escape, but to see clearly. And once you have seen everything, you will no longer need words to protect yourself. Your silence will be the most powerful answer of all. The ancients once said, "Listen to their words, but observe their actions." Listening to what people say is important, but it is their actions that truly reveal who they are. Sometimes, it is in silence that real actions are exposed. When you stop explaining, stop justifying, and stop clarifying, people lose the ability to hide behind words. They are forced to act. You will realize that some people listen only to respond, not to understand. They listen to argue, to manipulate, and to reinforce what they want, not what you need. And when you remain silent, they lose their tools to manipulate you, their chance to steer you in their direction. It is in that moment that the truth starts to reveal itself. Genuine relationships, whether in friendship, family, or love, do not require you to constantly explain your thoughts, express every emotion, or repeatedly prove your worth. True connections exist in silence. They do not disappear just because you stop speaking. Rather, they deepen and strengthen. Those who truly care do not need lengthy explanations. They understand through observation, through feeling, and through the heart. They stand by you even when you say nothing. They do not demand justification, because your presence alone is enough for them. But those who grow angry when you stop justifying yourself never truly loved you. They only loved the feeling of controlling you. Those who disappear when you stop reaching out were never truly present. They only loved the predictable, accessible, and easily influenced version of you. Silence is not weakness. It is not avoidance or a lack of communication. Silence is a strategy, a way to see more clearly who approaches you out of love and who approaches you for personal gain. It is a way to protect your mind from being drained by invisible expectations. The truth always reveals itself when the noise fades away. And when you have the courage to embrace silence, you will not only see others more clearly, you will see yourself more clearly too. Recognition may seem harmless, but it is a subtle addiction. It seeps into you little by little, starting with a simple compliment, a nod of approval, an admiring glance. Before you realize it, you begin living for reactions from others. You dress the way society deems attractive. You speak in ways that are deemed acceptable. You follow the trends that others praise, even when your heart finds no joy in them. And in the process, you slowly lose yourself. Lao Tzu once said, "A name that can be named is not the eternal name." Recognition is never permanent. Today, people may praise you. Tomorrow, they may turn away. If you live for their approval, you will never truly own yourself. When you crave acceptance, you give others the power to define you. You let them decide what is right, what is worthy. You shrink yourself, fitting into predefined molds, afraid to take risks or stand out, all because you fear losing approval. But true strength does not need a stage or applause. It does not seek attention or permission. Those who are truly strong move with quiet confidence. They act not for validation, but because they believe in their inner values and purpose. When you stop seeking recognition, you reach a new level of respect, not just from others, but from yourself. You begin making decisions without needing the crowd's approval. You stop looking for validation from social media, from acquaintances, or from society at large, because you now understand that your value does not come from external praise, but from deep self-awareness. When you truly know who you are, you no longer need to prove it to anyone. You stop saying, "I am on the right path," and simply walk it. You stop waiting for others to support you and become your own pillar of strength. And in that silence, you create an unshakable energy, an aura that commands respect without a single word. People are drawn to those who do not need to prove themselves. They admire those who do not boast, justify, or exaggerate. Deep down, everyone understands, true strength does not scream. It simply exists. It does not need recognition to be real. It does not need a spotlight to shine. It does not need applause to know it is on the right path. Look at the most successful and respected people in the world. They do not obsess over daily praise. They do not need validation to believe in their own value. They act not for the world's approval, but from the clarity within their minds. They build in silence. They move forward with discipline, and they let their results speak for themselves. When you live this way, without seeking approval, without needing confirmation, without being bound by the opinions of others, you are not only strong, you are truly free. Recognition is one of the most deceptive traps in life. It is not loud or terrifying at first. It comes softly, in the form of wanting a compliment, expecting someone to say you did well, or feeling happy when you receive a bit of praise. But once recognition becomes a need, you have given others the power to define your worth. You start living for their gaze. You choose your clothes, your behavior, your dreams, and even your love, not based on what you truly want, but on what you believe will be accepted. And in doing so, you lose control. Worse than that, you lose yourself. Confucius once said, "The noble man seeks within himself, the petty man seeks in others." A noble person looks inward for validation, while a petty person seeks recognition from others. When you live for recognition, you constantly ask others, "Am I good enough?" And if you don't receive a response, you begin to doubt yourself. You become hesitant, withdrawn, and even undervalue your own abilities, simply because no one applauded. But when you stop seeking external validation and learn to recognize your own worth, that is when you become unshakable. You no longer need others to praise you. You no longer need anyone to tell you that you are deserving, because you already know that even in silence, you have value, and that value cannot be taken away by anyone's silence. True confidence is built from within. It does not rely on compliments, likes, or approving glances. It comes from knowing who you are, where you are going, and living true to yourself. When you have that, you stop asking for permission to shine. You don't dim yourself to make others comfortable. You step into your full power, bold, strong, and unapologetic. You act for your ideals, not for appearances. You live with purpose, not for approval. And that is what makes others respect you. Not because you seek respect, but because you command it. Through your actions, discipline, and unwavering presence. Think about the people who have inspired you. Were they the ones constantly saying, "Recognize me"? No, they were the ones who walked in silence, acted with certainty, and made an impact without needing to shout. They did not wait for agreement. They did not need applause. They simply did, because they believed in what they were doing. True strength does not seek attention. It does not need an audience to exist. It does not need validation to take up space. It simply is powerful, natural, and undeniable. Respect does not come from begging. It comes from having the courage to live as if you already have it. You show up because you know you can. You act not to prove something to others, but to prove to yourself. I am enough. I am capable. I am worthy. And I do not need anyone's approval to know that is true. When you stop seeking recognition, when you no longer need applause to feel valuable, your life changes. You make decisions with confidence instead of hesitation. You stop explaining who you are. You no longer cling to those who do not truly appreciate you. And you stop trying to fit into spaces that were never built for you. Ironically, it is the moment you stop trying to please others that they begin to notice. They may not say it, but they feel your steadiness, your quiet power, your self-assurance. Because true strength does not need to be announced. It does not need permission. It does not need praise. It only needs to be. Zhuangzi once said, "The true sage remains still." Without speaking, people naturally come to him. Silence is also a voice, one far more powerful than words. When you withdraw, when you step back, your absence speaks louder than any argument ever could. People start to face the truth. They once took you for granted. They believed you would always be there, no matter what. But when your presence is no longer a given, everything shifts. They realize the calls that once came regularly are now missing. The support they once received so easily has turned into emptiness. The warmth that once filled every conversation is now replaced by silence. And in that silence, they begin to understand. Not because you told them, not because you complained, but because they felt the loss. Experience is the clearest awakening. People only truly recognize what is valuable once it is gone. You were once the light in the room they never noticed. And when you left, they finally saw how cold and dark that room had become. Absence is a mirror. It reveals who truly cherishes you and who only stayed for what they could take. If they genuinely valued you, they will feel the emptiness, and they will act. They will change. They will move toward you. But if they do nothing, that is your answer. You cannot teach someone to appreciate you by giving more. The more you explain, the more they resist. The more you chase, the more they pull away. The more you prove yourself, the more they dismiss you. But when you are silent, when you step away, when you allow absence to speak, they are left with themselves. And one of two things will happen. They will realize your value and learn to cherish you. Or they will reveal that they never truly cared. The truth is, you cannot force anyone to love or respect you. But you can choose not to be present in their lives anymore. And sometimes, that is the most powerful thing you can do. One of life's deepest and hardest lessons often comes through loss and absence. Sometimes it is not words, not explanations, not long discussions, that help someone understand your value. It is the silence and the space you leave behind. When you withdraw, when you stop showing up, when you stop giving love so freely. If someone truly values you, they will feel it. They will wonder, why is this person no longer here? And if there is no hesitation, no effort, no attempt to reach out, that is your answer. Zhuangzi, one of Confucius' most outstanding students, once said, "What you do not wish for yourself, do not impose on others." If you give kindness, loyalty, love, and presence, but it is not met with appreciation, that is when you must learn to let go with peace. Absence is the strongest remedy for neglect. It is not meant to punish. It is meant to reveal. It forces people to face themselves, to confront the void you once silently filled with your care, support, and presence. When you are always there, always giving, always sacrificing, people begin to see it as default. They mistake kindness for servitude. They assume you will always be there, no matter how they treat you. But one day, when you quietly walk away, with no blame, no words, no explanations, only an empty space, that is when they finally understand. Not through arguments, not through persuasion, but through experience. When you stop calling, stop checking in, stop showing up, they must face the silence. And if they truly care, they will feel it. They will hurt. They will realize. They will make an effort. But if they feel nothing, if they continue as if you never existed, if they do not even pause to wonder where you went, then you already have your answer. No matter how hard it is to accept, that truth is the medicine you need to let go completely and move on. You do not need to prove your worth. No one should ever have to beg for appreciation. True value does not need words to defend it. It proves itself simply by being. And if someone cannot see it while you are there, then let your absence teach them what your presence could not. Because absence is the fairest test of all. It speaks without words, and it makes the truth impossible to ignore. If they feel nothing, if they continue as if you never existed, then even if they think about you once, you already know the truth. They never truly cared. No matter how hard that truth is to accept, it is the necessary remedy for you to completely let go and move on. You don't need to prove your worth. No one should have to beg for appreciation. True value does not need to be defended with words. It proves itself through presence. And if someone cannot see it while you are still there, then let your absence teach them what you could not. Absence is a very fair filter. It requires no words, but clearly distinguishes who comes for you and who comes for the benefits they receive from you. It reveals who stays out of love and who leaves when you no longer meet their expectations. And if your withdrawal changes nothing, then you have been living in the illusion of affection. You deserve a love that is proactive, a care that is clear, and a presence that is sincere. If you have to fight to be appreciated, you are fighting in the wrong place. True feelings do not need persuasion. They stand firm through actions, consistent care, and quiet respect. Let silence be the final voice. If they love you, they will return. If they cherish you, they will act. But if they do nothing, then you already know. This is not where your heart belongs. Silence is wisdom. In ancient temples, when monks reached a high level of practice, their masters often sent them on a pilgrimage called cloud wandering. This was the most arduous path. No shelter, no food, no servants, and no assistance. They had to face hunger, thirst, wild animals, and venomous snakes deep in the mountains. They endured harsh sunlight, heavy rain, freezing cold, and snowstorms. Beyond these physical challenges, monks also encountered all kinds of people, from thieves to lawless, immoral individuals. They were insulted, beaten, robbed, and ridiculed. But the hardest trials often came from their fellow monks and abbots at the temples, where they sought shelter. In the tradition of Japanese Zen, wandering monks had to engage in a silent debate with the head monk of any temple they wished to stay in. If they lost, they had to leave, and were not allowed to stay even for one night. One such story took place at an ancient temple in northern Japan. The temple was led by two monk brothers. The elder brother was wise and highly skilled in debate, while the younger brother was slow-witted, clumsy, and had only one eye. One night, a wandering monk passed by and wished to stay. The elder monk, exhausted from studying all day, asked his younger brother to handle the debate. Before the younger monk stepped out, the elder advised, "Debate in silence. Don't speak, or you will lose." A short while later, the wandering monk came to the elder monk, bowed deeply, and asked to leave. He had been defeated and was in awe of the younger brother's debating skill. Curious, the elder monk asked, "Before you go, please tell me about the debate." The wandering monk smiled and said, "It was marvelous. First, I raised one finger, symbolizing the Buddha. Your brother responded with 2 fingers, meaning the Buddha and the Dharma. Then I held up 3 fingers to represent the 3 jewels, Buddha, Dharma, and Sangha. Your brilliant brother then made a fist and pointed at me, signifying that all 3 merge into one, that one is all, and all is one." Profound. This is the philosophy of Mahayana Buddhism. I humbly accept my defeat. Though I may be hungry and cold tonight, I feel deeply enlightened. Thank you both. I take my leave. The wandering monk left, appearing satisfied as if he had just learned something extraordinary. Later, the younger monk entered, looking frustrated. The elder monk said, "I know you won the debate, but tell me what happened." "When what?" "That monk was incredibly rude." The younger brother fumed. "As soon as he saw me, he held up one finger to mock me for having only one eye. I held up 2 fingers to praise him for having both eyes. But then he insulted me again. He raised 3 fingers, implying that between the 2 of us, we had only 3 eyes in total. I got so angry that I clenched my fist and shook it in his face, meaning, 'Watch out, or you'll get a punch.' He seemed startled, bowed, and left. What a rude monk! The elder monk widened his eyes, shook his head, and then burst into laughter. Just by staying silent, you avoided a fight. You learned patience, the wandering monk learned wisdom, and I gained clarity. What a perfect outcome! Silence is golden. We must learn the power of silence. It teaches patience and keeps emotions from overpowering reason. It frees us from the past, regrets, and unnecessary burdens, allowing us to live fully in the present. An impulsive person may sacrifice long-term gain for momentary satisfaction, but a calm person knows when to endure and forgive to avoid unnecessary mistakes. Everyone has the ability to protect themselves. Ultimately, only you can save yourself. No matter how close someone is to you, they cannot do it for you. Bullying exists everywhere, but rather than retaliate, many choose silence. Today, people tend to flatter the strong and oppress the weak. The poor often suffer at the hands of the wealthy. But do not let yourself be bullied forever. Fighting physically is never the best option. It only harms you further. Instead, be honest and handle problems with the most peaceful approach possible. Be like a sponge, soft to the touch, flexible under pressure, but always returning to its original form. A sponge can also absorb water, just as you can absorb knowledge and wisdom from others. The lesson of silence is golden is a deep philosophy that reminds us that sometimes silence holds more power than argument or impulsive reactions. A wise person understands that not every issue requires words, and not every situation demands an immediate emotional response. In moments of tension or adversity, silence not only prevents conflicts, but also helps us remain calm, rational, and avoid unnecessary mistakes. The story of the Zen monk's silent debate shows the strength of self-restraint. Though provoked, the younger monk did not let emotions take over. In the end, he overcame the challenge without causing conflict. Silence is not just about holding back words. It is a way of protecting oneself, learning, and resolving issues with wisdom. In today's world, when facing injustice, disrespect, or hardship, rather than resisting or confronting head-on, practice patience. Observe situations from multiple perspectives. Sometimes silence is the best way to maintain dignity. Stay true to yourself and find the best solution. Life requires us to know when to speak and when to remain silent. Silence is not weakness. It is a wise choice to protect inner peace and act with thoughtfulness. We do not always need to speak loudly, prove ourselves, or demand recognition. Sometimes, it is our silence and absence that speak the loudest. Those who truly understand you will hear even what you do not say. And when you are strong enough to step back and quiet enough to observe, you will see who truly deserves to stay in your journey. Thank you for listening until the end of this video. If today's lesson resonates with you, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share this video with your loved ones. Let these lessons continue to spread, for we all deserve to live with wisdom, peace, and self-understanding. Wishing you a day of serenity and clarity. See you in the next video.